Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a daily podcast devoted to spirituality and self-help. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you about past lives. I know I've done a topic on past lives before, but I was doing my own reading today with the Past Life Oracle deck, and I thought it was so interesting. And I kind of got this intuitive nudge that I needed to make a podcast about this because this may be something that's affecting you guys as well. And so you might find it really helpful. You know, I never really believed in the whole past life thing growing up. I was brought up in a religion that was very strict. You came here one time, and if you put your toe over the line too many times, you were going to go straight to hell. And that's what I always believed, and that's what I thought. So I never really gave past lives even a second thought growing up. And it wasn't until I was in high school and I started questioning everything about the religion that I belonged to growing up. I did not really feel like a lot of the things rang true for me. There were a lot of things that we were taught to believe that just didn't really sit well with me, and I just didn't really think that it felt like the truth to me. So that's when I started really, even though my true spiritual journey started a few years ago, I feel like I really started the spiritual journey when I was in high school. It really started for me way back then in high school. I started really getting interested in mediums. I used to watch shows like Sally Jesse and Oprah and all of those talk shows, and I was always fascinated when they would have a medium on. I remember watching Sylvia Browne. I think I used to watch Sylvia Browne every time she came on Montel. And I used to watch James Van Praagh and John Edwards and now Teresa Caputo and all of these mediums, who were on television, Lisa Williams. I started watching them and just became really fascinated by them. And that led me to reading some of the books. I read a couple of books by Sylvia Browne, and I read a couple of the books by James Van Praagh. And I just became super interested because what I was reading really sounded like the truth to me. Some of these things sounded like, yeah, this feels more true than what I was brought up to believe. So I started doing more and more research and reading more and more. And of course, in one of those books, and I believe it was James Van Praagh's book, I started reading about past lives. And I'm thinking, at first when I read it, I was like, this is kind of weird. It's really out there for me. But I didn't dismiss it. I just thought, I'm not sure if I believe that or not. But then I kept reading and doing more research. And I came across a book by Wayne Dyer called Memories of Heaven. And it was all of these stories that people have collected from their children who talk about remembering being in heaven and picking their parents. They say, Mommy, I picked you. And do you remember that time that I was your mom and you were the daughter? And so it was just really interesting. And, I always believe kids will say, the truth. They just say what they think. And so I had an experience with my own daughter when she was little where she saw someone behind me always and would be waving and smiling, and she called him Papa Till, which one of my dad's partner, his name is Phil, so they called him Papa Phil. So I thought, she's just talking about him, and he was not passed away or anything. But then we went to my grandma's house, and there was a picture of my grandpa who died before I was born, and she saw the picture and she said Papa Till and pointed at it, and it was like my brother and I both just kind of looked at each other and kind of got the chills a little bit. And I thought, okay, that's who she's seeing at our house. And then I had a reading later and they said, yeah, your grandpa's around you all the time. So it was just kind of confirmation. And that was the first thing for me was like in high school, I was like, oh, I want to have a reading done. And I waited, I didn't get one in high school. I waited until I was like in college, and then I got a reading, and it was so fascinating. I was like, this is so spot on, and that's what kind of led me into looking more into other things. And so when I went through my spiritual awakening a few years ago, I had read all of these books, and my mentor, she actually got certified by Brian Weiss for past life regression, and she's the one who certified me. And So I thought, okay, well, I want to see what this is all about. So I had my own past life regression. And I remember one of the first things I saw was me as a Roman soldier, which you could have like knocked me over with a feather because I had no idea, that I would have been a Roman soldier. But I got to go to Rome a few years ago and I felt a connection to it. And it didn't make sense at the time because I'd never been there and I really hadn't studied about it. And then it made sense to me. And the interesting thing about that is, like, in that lifetime, I was stabbed in the back. And I feel like that was something that I kept carrying with me from lifetime to lifetime, was like, keep feeling like people stab me in the back. And so for me, one of the lessons is setting healthy boundaries and being aware of who I allow in my inner circle, because not everyone deserves to be there. So that's what I learned from that lifetime. And then I saw another lifetime where my husband was killed in an accident and I had 2 young kids and I had to take care of them, and I just tried to do everything on my own and was too proud to ask for help. And then I ended up dying young of like a heart attack because I was too focused on trying to take care of everyone and I didn't take care of myself. And so what I learned from that lifetime, which I still am seeing in this lifetime that I need to do, is to learn how to ask others for help and to be able to delegate and not feel like I'm burdening anyone else if I ask for help. So those were interesting things for me. And then I had another lifetime where I realized that I lived in Germany and I lived in Munich, near the Munich area specifically. And so when I went there, the very first time I fell in love with Munich, I was like, I feel like home here. And I didn't know why, because this was in high school. And then when I had this past life, I was like, oh my gosh, it makes sense now. It totally makes sense. So our lives can really affect what's happening in this current life. There may be karma that we need to release, or even just understanding what happened to us in a past life can help us understand why we deal with things the way we do in this life, because we have things we hold on to at the cellular level. So our bodies hold on to the memories of those things, and sometimes even just realizing that it's okay to release that, which when we do a past life regression, at the end, we imagine our bodies being healed and we let go of that lifetime, knowing like we don't have to bring it with us into this lifetime, which is the thing I love about doing past life regressions. But I pulled some cards for me for a reading, and then I thought I would share them with you because some of you may be experiencing the same thing. And I thought it was so interesting when I pulled these cards. So the first card that I pulled is Asia. And it says a significant past life in Asia is influencing your current situation. You learned group harmony and the sacrificing of individuality in the Asian culture, but the lessons of that lifetime need to be balanced with your current life's culture. And this makes a lot of sense for me because I feel like for many, many years of my life, like I just tried to be the peacekeeper. I didn't really try to speak out. I didn't really try to do anything too impressive. And now, like having a podcast, writing a book, all of those things, that is like huge for me, and speaking my truth, which I never really did before. And I always had this idea that if we just all work together, if we all help each other out, like everything will be perfect. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we don't live in a society where that is the belief. We live in a society where it's like every man for himself and, good luck to you. And so many people who are here right now, if they've lived a life where they were in that kind of culture where you sacrifice individuality and you learn group harmony, this environment that you're in right now feels horrible to you because you feel like people will stab you in the back just to get ahead. It's like they step on your head just to get above you. And I've always wondered why people do that. Like, I don't understand that myself. And even becoming a teacher, like a teaching profession should be a balance and harmony because we're all kind of working together for the same goal. And yet you will find teachers who, again, try to step on each other to get ahead or to get a promotion. And it's like, why are you doing that? Like this is not the right environment for that. Like that doesn't work here. But it always like stands out to me when I see people in that environment who would stab you in the back just to get ahead. And I've never understood that. So for me, being in this capitalist society, is uncomfortable and I don't really like it too much, but I'm having to learn how to adapt with that. But it says here in the card, you may have been in the habit of suppressing your emotions and opinions in that lifetime. However, in this life, it's essential that you be aware of your inner truth. You are also being guided to express your beliefs and feelings openly with your loved ones in order to deepen your relationship. And that's another thing too, is like I don't always speak my truth in relationships because I'm afraid of being judged. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And so for me, that's the big thing too, is being able to speak my truth and not feel afraid that I'm going to be judged for doing it. It says your fascination with the Asian culture stems from your love and respect for the people you meet in that lifetime. Consider taking trips to Eastern lands to reconnect with your ancient self and to learn more about your soul's previous journey. I think that's interesting too, because there are parts of the Asian culture that I'm completely fascinated by, and I have always wanted to go to Japan, so there must have been some sort of significant lifetime for me there. And if you feel that way at all, if that rang true when I read that, it's very possible that you also had a life in Asia. The second card I pulled out is Mother. And I knew as soon as I saw Mother, I'm like, okay, this is going to be significant for me. Because I have a very close relationship with my mom, but it's also not always one that's harmonious at all times. I love her, but we do butt heads at times. And so I know that there are issues going on there sometimes between my mom and I. And like I said, I love her, so it's absolutely nothing against her. It's just one of those things when you have two strong personalities. So the Mother card, it says this card indicates that your mother in this life was also with you in other lifetimes. And this is interesting because I did another past life regression where I actually did see that my mom was my mom in that lifetime too. And in that lifetime, it looked like I was in like England or somewhere, and we were of nobility of some kind. And I was told I had to marry a certain type of person, and I did not want to. And I felt very resentful and angry because I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted to do. And you couldn't. It wasn't acceptable in that time, and you had to marry for money and those kinds of things. It's interesting because in this lifetime, I married someone my mom did not like and didn't want me to marry for obviously good reasons. Now we know. But it's interesting that that came up again. So that is definitely a theme running in my lives with her. But it says that this is actually a very common occurrence. The mother-child relationship is a significant emotional and physical bond. If you enjoy a healthy and loving relationship with your mother in this lifetime, you were probably drawn together again because of your fondness for one another. However, if your relationship has been challenging, this indicates that you need to balance the karma through your forgiveness. Your feelings about your mother are directly related to your ability to manifest abundance, as mother energy is all about receiving. If you have blocks with your mother, you have most likely developed control issues that prevent you from receiving help from others or from the universe. So this card asks you to do more personal work concerning your mother. At this time, you may wish to add past life regression as an adjunct to other therapeutic methods. And I think that is so interesting because really, when you talk about abundance and receiving from the universe, that's all about divine feminine energy. Divine feminine energy is all about receiving, and it's about abundance. And so if we have issues with the ultimate divine feminine, our mother, right, it would stand to reason that we're going to have issues and difficulty receiving abundance from the universe. I find that so interesting. And I can see where that could be true in my own life too, because there were a lot of times I had blocks to money and abundance. And I feel like I'm finally working past all of that, but it's taken time. And I think that the one past life regression that I had where I saw her trying to, tell me who I had to marry and not being happy with me, like I was able to do forgiveness in that past life regression and resolve a lot of that with her. So that's super fascinating. And if there's anyone out there listening who has mother issues, and I know there are because I've had listeners write into me and say, oh my gosh, the toxic person in my relationship is my mom. And that's very common. We often come here to resolve issues dealing with toxic parents. Because when we think of toxic relationships, most people are like, oh, my spouse. But where do you think that starts? It usually starts with having toxic parents. And it's a thing. It's a real thing. So doing a past life regression is one way that you can help to resolve that. So the third card that I pulled is male-female. And it says this card signifies that you've lived most of your lives as a different gender than the one you embody in this life. Now, I've seen my lives, and out of the past lives that I've seen, I think I was male more than I was female, but I know that I have been both. And it says that, for example, you may be living as a female, while in most of your previous lifetimes you were a male, which I think that really does apply to me. In such cases, gender confusion and even health issues are often related to this change of gender over lifetimes. Because for most of your lifetimes you lived as the other sex, you may not feel comfortable in your own skin. If this is your first lifetime as a woman, you may even develop gynecological issues or even experience infertility. If this is your first lifetime as a man, you may not relate to traditional masculine roles. This card asks you to have compassion for yourself and trust that your soul is doing the best it can. Remember that your soul is the result of all of your past experiences. I really think this is interesting, and to me, I have always wondered, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I have always wondered if part of the reason that we see people come in not feeling comfortable in their skin and not identifying with the gender they are is because they're remembering the past life where they were the other gender, and that memory is so strong at the cellular level that they don't feel comfortable in their own bodies. And I think that would be something interesting to explore. And it's a very real thing. There are a lot of people, I've watched documentaries, and I just watched an episode, actually. I love this show, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. My daughter turned this show on to me. I mean, I used to watch the old version, but I never watched the new version. And she said, oh, you have to watch it. And it was such a great, they're so caring and kind, and what they do for people is amazing. And there was an episode where there was a transgender, a female to male person on the show, and when he talked about his experiences, it was just so touching, because I think most of us aren't able to identify with that feeling of not feeling comfortable with who we are. And I think even past life regression could help people who are experiencing that. But it really opened my eyes, and even watching the show, even though all of the guys on the show are gay, they still were like, we can't identify with you. We don't understand your experience, because even though you're part of our community, none of us have personally experienced this not feeling comfortable in our own skin. And it was really touching and eye-opening. And I think so many of us really need to be more aware of, other people and their experiences and what they go through, because until we listen to other people talk, we have no idea what they're going through, and people deserve to have compassion. And I just find it so fascinating that we have so many different kinds of people on this earth. It's awesome to have diversity, and it's awesome when you can connect with people and feel like, even though we might be so different, we're still the same. We're still one. We come from the same place. We all come from the divine, and we're all divine love, and that way we're all one and we're all connected. So it would be interesting, I think, to learn more about children who are feeling very confused and feeling like they don't fit into the gender that they've been assigned this time. It would be interesting to really find out if that is because they were more of the other gender from another lifetime. I think that's so fascinating to think about, and I would love to see more research done in that area. But it definitely, doing a past life regression can help us in all of our areas of our lives, because these three specific cards may not have really resonated with you personally, but this deck, there are so many different cards in it, And I've pulled many different things before, like there's a card Atlantis. So if you feel like you were in Atlantis at one time, or there's also, like I said, the card on war. And that's an interesting thing too, because I didn't personally have this past life regression, but I had a medium tell me one time that I was a nurse in, I think, the Civil War, and I treated victims and held the hands of dying soldiers. So that makes a lot of sense for me too, because I used to want to become a doctor all the time when I was younger. And then I got into high school and took chemistry and realized that I was not good at that, or math. And so it would be a struggle for me to have done that. So I decided to change my major and change what I wanted to do. But I am still doing healing in a way. So I sort of remembered that my mission was here to help heal people, but just in a different way. So anyway, that's just an example of how past life regressions can help you. So if this is something that you're interested in, this is something that I offer, and I have hour sessions or 90-minute sessions, and they're available on my website. You can go and check it out at melissaoatman.com. The way that I do them, you're not under hypnosis. You're meditating, and you're in a very deeply relaxing and meditative state. And I always tell people, the more you do this, the better you get at it. Because the first time I saw like 2 lives and that was it. And then the next time I saw like 3. I got better and better at seeing what I needed to see. And it was easier to go there and see what I needed to see. So I would highly encourage you to try this if it's something you're curious about, because it's really fascinating and it does help, because you can see what it is you still need to work on, the karma that you still need to resolve in this lifetime. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. I pulled a card for you from my deck, Divine Whispers. And the card that I pulled for you is Love Yourself First, which I just absolutely think is the most important thing you can do. You definitely have to love yourself first. It says the universe is asking you to put yourself and your own needs first today. You take such good care of everyone else. You are nurturing, kind, and loving, but you have been neglecting yourself, my love. Do something kind for you today. Go get a massage, a manicure or pedicure, or a facial. Feed your intellectual mind too. Curl up with a good book and a glass of wine, or go for a walk in nature. And I do say so myself, you could curl up with Beautifully Broken, which is a good book to nurture yourself. And also, I made sure to add plenty of humor in there so it didn't feel like you were reading a self-help book. It also says take time out to meditate or tap. Whatever you do, be sure to nurture yourself today. Nurture your mind, body, and spirit. After all, you can't fill anyone else's cup if your cup is empty. And there are a couple of self-care mantras here on this card. The first one is, I give myself permission to take time out today. Boy, I think that is so important. It's crazy that we have to give ourselves permission, that we don't feel like we can take time out to do what we need to do. But that is so important, okay? Take time out for yourself. The second mantra is, I am slowing down and becoming aware of my own needs. Your third one is, today I will put myself first. Did you hear that? Today I will put myself first. You better put yourself first today. I deserve love just as much as anyone else. That is so true. And I am honoring my needs today. I love all of those. And I hope that you are going to do something today to take care of yourself. Even if it's that you decide that you're going to take a few moments just to sit down and relax, do a quick meditation, or watch a funny show. Laughter makes you feel so much better. Oh my gosh, it makes you feel amazing when you can just sit and laugh. So find something that makes you laugh today. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me. As always, if you like this podcast, please leave me a positive review from wherever you're listening. Leave me some stars on iTunes. Please subscribe. Please share this podcast from wherever you're listening to people you think might be able to benefit from it. I really appreciate that. That helps me in my mission to help people heal. Also, if you want to work with me, go to melissaoatman.com. There you will find the list of services I offer. You can purchase a session directly from the website and then contact me and we will schedule your session. And all of my sessions are done online through Zoom, so you never have to leave the comfort of your own home. Don't forget to join me live on Facebook, Mondays at 6:30 Central, where I do a free card reading. If you show up for the live, I will pull a card especially for you. And I am doing something new this month. If you have a watch party with my live, I'm going to select one person who has created a watch party with my Facebook Live, and I am going to give a free reading to that person. So if you want to be entered to win, all you have to do is start a watch party with my Facebook Live on Monday. Don't forget, I post videos to Instagram, and I have free guided meditations and tappings on my YouTube channel. All of my social media links can be found in the show notes, so go follow me everywhere. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. I hope you have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.